So many issues around formats and owning the IP, and whether you create it domestically, whether you create it with an international co-partner, whether you find a show that's been on the air somewhere. In just the last 5 years, the rules of the game have continued to change. There was a time, not 5 years ago, there's a show of mine that we did, it was on NBC, then it was on CMT, called Singing Bee. We owned it because we launched it first on ITV. I sold it off paper to a British broadcaster. So that was back then. We were able to say, oh, it's already been sold to a British channel, a major channel. So we were able to retain the ownership of that. And that show got into 32 countries. Good piece of business. You know, for a couple of years, it was a big piece of business. Newer shows that we find in formats, if it's an original show created domestically, the broadcasters are going to want it. They're going to want to own it. The time, somebody I was on the phone with this week, I won't say where, they were saying to me, you know, the big multinational companies like Endemol and Fremantle and Zodiac and all those companies all sprouted and became something international where they were selling IP all over the globe because the American networks and big companies dropped the ball. They let the rights go to those companies so that they can create this big international business for shows like Idol and Got Talent and Big Brother and things like that. So I see in our conversations with every group, whether it's the broadcast networks or the cable networks, everybody now has a division where they say, no, we want to own it. Like Discovery, like you guys, you all have their global brands, so everybody wants to own it. So what do you do to try to hang on to your idea? You have to try to be as creative about hanging on to any of your IP as you possibly can. Is it co-funding, bringing some money to the table, deficit financing like the studios do with scripted and non-scripted? That's a way to perhaps protect some rights. If you do something where you launch it internationally first, it's an argument. But even shows that we have either found from overseas that have launched over there and successful overseas shows, I'm finding that the companies here, they all know that the most important market in the world for television is the United States. If a show works here, it will work arguably in most parts of the world. So everybody is now completely in the game. I don't mean game show, they're in the game. A show that gets on the US, even if it's on in 4 or 5 other countries, is going to be exponentially more valuable once it's on a US outlet. So even a successful, we had I won't say what, we had a successful show from a European territory. We sold it to a channel here, and they didn't care that it was already on the air in a small territory. They knew that they were going to be a big part of the format going forward because if it was going to be on the air in the US, it was going to add value to it. But you know what? It's okay. That's the thing I've come around to. It's okay, because if the channel has skin in the game, if the channel has ownership in your idea, as long as I have a decent enough deal where I'm going to make some money somewhere internationally, and based on relationships I may have, I may actually do a better job selling it than their guys will. Let's be partners. If the channel is invested in it, they'll keep it on the air, they're going to help grow it. I don't want to fight that fight the same way because I want the channels to be invested.